Hello, welcome to another edition of That Millwall podcast. Today we have another episode of Who Are You, where we get to interview and hear the story of some of our listeners and Millwall fans. Today I'm joined by Ricky. Ricky, how are you?
I'm all good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. As I say, this episode isn't about the pod, it isn't about me. It's all about our listeners and our supporters. So,
Cool.
Ricky, we'll go straight into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, right. Well, I've been following Millwall now since 2001. My mate John from school took me to my first ever Millwall game, and I fell in love instantly. It took me a while. When I was younger, I used to love watching football. Maybe not playing it, but watching it. But I never felt in love with a club, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And that one game just opened my eyes up, and it just felt like home. You know what I mean? Like the atmosphere around the ground, like the togetherness, the family orientated stuff. You got the Millwall, I got the Millwall bug, and it stuck with me. And now I've got my daughters following Millwall as well, and I've got even my wife that don't even like football. I've got a bit on side as well, so they've all got the Millwall bug in one way or another.
So, had you been to games before you'd been to Millwall, or was it just purely just a watch on TV? Or
no, my first game was on a Friday night against Brentford, back in 2001. We won 1-0, and with my notes that I've written down, it was Tim Cahill that got us the goal, and I don't know, how can you explain it? It's just like I was saying again, togetherness. The family orientated stuff, it just felt right. Like, I have watched other teams. I have watched Spurs when I was younger. I've watched, unfortunately, the Vermin. I won't say that name, but you know who I'm talking about.
right?
But I never felt in love with anyone. But it just felt right. The whole atmosphere of the club just felt right for me.
So, your friend John did a good job by bringing you along.
Oh, mate, yeah, Brilliant.
So that leads me on. Nice, obviously, your first game. You said obviously about Brentford at the Den. You've obviously cleared up there that you sort of remember it. What do you remember the game? Do you remember first going into the stadium?
First look, it's got that little rough look to it, if you know what I mean. Like working class, nothing fancy, just Bob standard, like. And as a working class man myself, like, it just feels right. And I was like I've been working out, like, all my family's working class, so it just felt right. No snobbiness like you get at Spurs now and your Arsenals with all these fancy VIP shenanigans. I just don't get, and your popcorn stands, and it just, you know what I mean. Just and the build up between games now, like, I'm enjoying seeing everything that's going on and around the Den. A lot's getting done as well. So from where I first come to where it is now, it's just, we are moving in the right direction. It still stands to that working class background, which I think we need.
I think you're right. I think the one thing about Millwall that perhaps a lot of clubs are quite sanitised now, and I think Millwall, we've never really fallen into that category. I don't think we ever will. I don't think it would ever work if we were sanitised either. I think we'd lose a lot of who we are. And I think when you do first go to a game, whether you're a younger supporter or an older supporter, the feeling, especially if they win, the roar and everything about it. Obviously, you managed to start with a win. With obviously becoming a fan and coming along, do you like the Den? Is it somewhere that you enjoy going? Where do you sit?
Well, me and my daughter sit in block 14.
Right.
She's now been a season ticket holder with me for 5 years, and she hasn't looked back. And it's a family thing, if you know what I mean. Like, I love it. I love the Den. I wouldn't change it for the world. Right, it might need a little bit of a paint job, but up the top on the roof. But I wouldn't want to change it anymore. Just because if you go to the likes of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium now, like, as an opposing player, you're not going to think, oh, I don't want to play there again. You're going to be like, wow, I want to come back. With the Den, it's like, nah.
No.
No, I don't want to come back here. And that's what makes it special. Where clubs have built new stadiums, they've lost the character of their own ground. So, personally, I think it's perfect.
I think it's interesting what you said there as well about your daughter. I think there's a lot of people that, you know, they support the club because their parents, their parents bring them along and they buy into it. And I think football connects you with maybe even further with kids. I'm not a parent myself, but I know that the reason I support the club is because of my dad. My dad brought me when I was 3 years old, and it's nice that on a Saturday you can bring your little girl to the game. I know you want them to win, and sometimes they don't, but you still have memories that you probably will last, and she'll always remember as well.
Oh, of course, definitely. She loves going there. She does the Millwall pathway as well. So she's got the foot. She's football mad, so unbelievable. And I know some people might have stigmas against girls coming to football or playing football, but Millwall's for everyone. Like football is for everyone, and it's just got some people just got to get that narrative out of their heads, and it is for everyone at the end of the day, whether you're male, female, or whatever.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've got a couple of friends who are sort of female season ticket holders who've been going for years. They've been going since they were kids. And you're right, there is possibly perhaps a little bit of a stigma still. I think it's getting better. I do think it is getting better. And I think especially with the Lionesses as well, getting a lot of coverage, which obviously helps, especially maybe for your daughter. If she does want a career into football, she can see the Lionesses are getting some coverage. They're getting coverage, and they may end up being her hero. She may end up wanting to be like them, or the Lionesses who obviously did very well, the England girls last year. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit with this next question. Obviously, since 2001, you've probably been supporting the club during, apart from when we got promoted in the 80s, probably one of the most successful periods. Yeah. Who's your favourite player since your time as being a Millwall fan?
We've had some special players over the years, but I think my standout one is Neil Harris. He just typifies of a Millwall player, his attitude, his desire, and he got us. There's some players that we have had come to Millwall that they've been here for a couple of weeks and gone because they don't get the club. I'm pretty sure they've got the likes of Scott Dobie that was here for about 2 months, if I can remember. You got Noel Whelan that was there for a month. They just didn't understand the club, where I believe he did. He just got us, and obviously before he got his illness, he was going on money. He was pretty much, apparently, obviously, I don't want to speculate if this is true or not, but rumours were that he was pretty done to going to Tottenham money.
I wasn't aware of Spurs, but I know there was Premier League clubs that were pretty much had him nailed on or he was definitely on the radar. And I think, there's a lot of supporters, myself included. I think Neil Harris, for the man that he is, not just the footballer, but the man that he is, and the fact that he did buy into the club. He wasn't a Millwall fan. He's not. He may be now, but he wasn't when he joined the club. And I think, much like a lot of our supporters, especially from recent times, I think Neil Harris is very much the one. I think most people would agree.
And he's how long he was with the club as well, I think makes him special. Like we've had Tim Cahill's, we've had your Stephen Reeds. They were like class players, but again, it's a legendary thing as well. Where Harris has been there for so long, in my opinion, makes him my all-time favourite player.
And alongside that, your favourite manager? I think I might know the answer to this one, but go on.
Do you know what we've had a lot of managers since me following, but obviously we've had the likes of McGee, Wise, all successful. Jackett, Harris, Rowett. They've all done something special with the club in their own little way. Like obviously McGee winning the 2nd division, and you got Dennis Wise. That's obviously got us to the UEFA Cup. We're into the FA Cup final. Neil Harris, where do you start? You know what I mean? What he's done, and then obviously Rowett right now is doing. I was a bit skeptical of him a couple of seasons ago, thinking he was a bit negative, but he's proved me wrong, and that's what I want. But I would have to say Neil Harris again, because what he done with the budget that he's had compared to probably what Rowett's had he's done wonders. He's built such a great foundation and putting the club moving in the right direction, I don't think we would be where we are now without him.
And I think on that as well, I don't know if you agree, but I think getting promoted with Harris as manager made it more special. It was special under Jackett, but under Harris, I think it meant a little bit more to the fan base.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, everything that he's done for the club and everything he's been through with the club as well, just made it so much more special. Obviously for him, for us, like, and his family. Like, he's been through so much, and like, all credit. And I'm glad that he's doing well with Gillingham now. He deserves all the credits that he gets. He's a fantastic man as well. If anyone has spoken to him, he's so approachable. He's like, he doesn't, again, because he knows us. He understands us. He's not one of them so-called top range players that would shug you off unless you're got money with you. Again, we're working class, so I think he gets it.
On that subject, I've met him a couple of times, and absolutely, he's got time for the supporters. You know, not to deter too far away from your story, but he gave me one of the best memories ever. I met him at a dinner, and Tim Cahill was there. I was talking to both of them. They were my heroes. I got a picture with both of them, and they were just Neil Harris. You're right what you say. Neil Harris is definitely one that he got the club, and I think everything he did with us turned to gold. So I can see why obviously a lot of people feel that way about him. Going to tone it down a little bit. Have to get some of the negative ones out of the way. And this one is quite a hard one. I'm interested to see your thoughts here. The worst player that you've ever seen play in a Millwall shirt.
Do you know what? I have put down nearly a starting 11.
Okay, right.
And I've gone like some of them have been all right, but it's when they played with Millwall where they haven't performed. Like, I'll stick between Lenny Pidgley or Bywater in goal. Dreadful. But for Millwall, yeah. They were absolutely dreadful. Matt Briggs, we got him from Fulham.
Left back.
Left back. It might be because he didn't play enough, but what I did see of him, no. Andy Impey that we got from Nottingham Forest. I think that was back. I think that was in the year. Then we got relegated back in 2005. Is it Carl Osborne, FA Cup player only apparently for Millwall? Remember when he done the Crossbar challenge on Soccer AM?
Yeah, he did. He did.
And that's when he come up and said that. Again, I thought he just another player that just didn't get the club. What was it? I think we had St. Ledger. Was it St. Ledger or someone?
Sean St. Ledger,
yeah. Then you got Gary Taylor Fletcher.
Yeah.
I think he had a bigger belly than what I've got now when he played for us. I put Abu Fafana, who we had on loan from Juventus. It was one of them players. He should have been really, really good, but he was just awful. He had all the pace. That was it.
It's one of those, isn't it, where I've asked this question to, obviously, when we've done a few of these, and it's quite difficult. You always want Millwall players to do well. You always support them. You're always trying to get behind them, but there's just some that stand out, and you just think, what were they thinking? I think Gary Taylor Fletcher's one that comes up a lot. That was a terrible signing. Signing.
So I got as well. I got Saru. Remember Saru, the Canadian that can probably hit the bar from the halfway line.
The long throw. Yeah,
that's all we had.
Yeah,
that's all we had.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
And his first goal, I think his first game, he's set up from a long throw from the halfway line against Leicester. And then my three strikers, was it Tress Candle from Leeds?
Yeah.
Again, oh my God. I don't know how he was a professional footballer. John Sutton. Oh yeah, I think he was smashing goals for Rafe Rovers when we signed him. And then his career just stopped at Millwall, like nothing happened. And then most recent, Zahor.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I think that's very recent. He had potential, but it just didn't work, did he?
He hasn't worked. He doesn't work with West Brom. No. They're so happy that he's gone now because he was on big wages for a player that was quite useless for the Championship.
It's interesting that you come with a team there because, as I say, and some of the names, I mean, Adrian Giroud is one. I do remember that long throw. I think we signed another Canadian alongside him as well.
Josh Simpson.
Yes, it was, and he wasn't too bad.
He was all right. He
Yeah.
was all right. But he was like a left back, left wing. Like he just, I think when we had him with Wise, he just didn't know what his best position was, whether it was left back or left wing. But yeah, he wasn't a bad player. Like I couldn't have put him in. He wasn't terrible.
No, but the other one, Giroud was.
Oh yeah,
Giroud was
he just. I just think he only had the throw. That was it. Like he couldn't play football. He was more of a basketball player than what he was. But he had a short stay as well, didn't he? I think he was only with us.
Yeah, he wasn't there long.
2 or 3 months, if I can remember correctly.
And then bringing it to worst player you've seen at the Den, so perhaps against us, not necessarily in a Millwall shirt.
Do you know what I've gone for? I've gone for Christian Daly.
Yep.
He loved to score an own goal against us. I think and both games were for Charlton and West Ham, and we both scored 4 goals in them. I think when we beat West Ham 4-1 that season, didn't he come third in our Player of the Year?
He got votes for it. Yeah,
he got votes for it, or something round them lines. When I can remember.
Yeah, he did.
Again, maybe he just crumbled on the day. Like, if you ask West Ham fans themselves, they wouldn't have a bad word to say against him. But I just think when he come to our place, the intimidation of the crowd must have got to him too much, and he never performed against us.
On that, I might be wrong here, but he might have been sent off in that game against for West Ham because they did. I'm sure. Or was it Charlton?
No, it was Bywater that got Bywater got sent off.
But it was a mistake. Christian Daly made a mistake, and Bywater had to bring down. Yeah, you're right.
Bring down Neil Harris, didn't he? And then a game where we missed like 2 penalties. We should have won like 6 or 7-1 that day.
I think Tim was on a hat trick that day and missed a penalty. I think,
like literally, I think he hit Rose Z on Coburn Lane.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. That was an interesting. I mean, Christian Daly is one I think a lot of supporters is a go-to. But it's funny how you say answer with that, and he did get Player of the Season. I think it was a bit of a wind-up Player of the Season vote. Of course, it was. But the support, I always used to love it when he turned up at the Den because you'd always expect him to do something stupid.
Wrong, yeah.
So yeah. Okay.
Dear.
Moving on to matches now. So some of the questions you might have the same answer to, which is absolutely fine. The most memorable match involving Millwall. Now, this can be whether you've been there, whether you've been following it on TV or listening on the radio, whatever it may be.
My most memorable and favourite match, and I wish I could go over it again, was the 4th of the 4th, 2004, the FA Cup semi-final against Sunderland, the day before my birthday, and what a birthday present! I was a nervous wreck for the whole game, but I wish I could relive it and enjoy it because that was a day that I think that was our final. It was. That was our final.
Yeah.
But oh my God, the atmosphere created from us and Sunderland that made it even more special. Just unbelievable, like speechless, like soaking it in. And where we were sitting right next to the corner flag, behind, I think it was the right side, and not one corner was taken. So we couldn't even see myself on telly. The whole game.
I think one thing else that made that special, and I always say this, is the fact that it was at Old Trafford. I think the other one would have been Aston Villa. Villa's ground, which is a nice ground, don't get me wrong, but to be at Old Trafford was, outside of Wembley at the time was unreal, wasn't it?
Do you know what? Like, I believe, and I stick by this, that is the best atmosphere. I think that was better than Cardiff when we played Man United. The atmosphere at that ground is better than Cardiff, better than the new Wembley as well. I don't know. It's like the atmosphere stays in the ground, where like at Wembley and Cardiff, like the atmosphere just go, like you can hear it and then it just disappear. But I think Old Trafford for atmosphere, it's a shame that Man United fans can't make decent atmosphere there. But what us and Sunderland did that day was a great spectacle for Championship football, in my opinion. Like, it was unbelievable.
I think you're right as well when you said that was our final. I think that probably did help with the atmosphere because both sets of supporters knew that game was the one that they could win, and it meant a European place. It meant being in a cup final, and I think the supporters, as you say, from both teams bought into that. And as you say, you know, most people do say that was our final, and I think, you know, being honest, we probably knew going to Cardiff it was probably going to be a bit tough to beat Man United. So that is always the one, isn't it?
Oh, of course. Obviously, the Cardiff one, we had. Don't want to make excuses, but we did have a couple of injuries and suspensions that I think might have made the game a little bit different when we were missing Muscat, missing Dicchio, like key players that maybe might have been giving us something different. We had obviously Marvin Elliott playing right back, who was only 19 at the time, if I'm correct. I don't know. And he was a centre mid. So, like, it was a bit of mumble jumble for us. But I think they gave it their all. And then in the final, I think there was nothing to be downbeat by. We took them to 43 minutes, if I can remember correctly, before Ronaldo scored his first goal. So,
Yeah.
big achievement. And obviously, going into the UEFA Cup, the following. So I know we're still unbeaten at home in the UEFA Cup. No one can knock that. I know we only drew, but no one can take that off us.
It's still the record still stands. It doesn't matter. Do you think? Because I often say this. Do you think if we had Danny Dicchio, just him alone in the squad outside of those that missed that game, I'm not saying we would have won the game, but do you think it would have been different because we would have had a bit of a focal point? Because we only had Harris, and he hadn't really been. He was still suffering with his obviously the illness. So do you think Dicchio would have made any difference to the scoreline?
It would have gave him West Brown and John O'Shea a bit more physicality in the centre, like whipping box. At that season, we was always known to crosses coming in from outside the box, and Dicchio was usually 9 times out of 10 going to win. But yeah, I think it would have made it a bit. It made it a bit different. The game plan might have been a bit different as well, because obviously you might have played Neil and Dicchio together. Obviously we can only speculate of what could have been if they were all fit. But yeah, I think it would have been a bit different. I think we'd have made a bit more different aerial threats into the box, I think.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was about to say, but it is how it is, isn't it? We can't change it, and it was a great day out for all of us. That's the main thing.
Yeah, and I think that the memories, again, as we touched on earlier, obviously you're making them now with your daughter, but at the time, the people that you go with, those kind of memories are going to stick with you forever. That's something I think football can do, both on and off the pitch.
Yeah, because I remember I had like fully grown men crying next to us, like. Never, we don't know, but that might be the only time we ever see Millwall in a final. You know what I mean? So that was a massive achievement for the club, and like the fans, like you're saying, we would never ever forget. Like this could be the once in a lifetime thing that we ever see. Like the result was irrelevant. Like at least I can say for myself as a Millwall supporter, I've seen Millwall play in an FA Cup final. There's a lot of teams out there that have been nowhere near it. And for the size of our club, getting to that final was a massive achievement.
Absolutely, I completely agree. You said that it was your most memorable and favourite, so you've kind of combined the two together, which is absolutely fine. I think it's up there. It has to be. It has to be probably considered both of those. What about your funniest ever moment?
Oh well, where can I go with that? Funniest moment, like in what
It can be a story traveling to a game. It can be a moment in a game. It can be anything that's sort of that sticks out.
I can remember when I used to go with my mate. We used to go up and down the country with me all when I first become a season ticket holder. In the year of 03-04, funny enough, the year where we've got to an FA Cup final is the year we had an amazing season. That's my first year as a season ticket holder. There used to be 6 of us in a car that could only fit 5 people.
Oh, right.
So obviously you had my mate's mum and dad at the front, and then all 4 of us kids all crammed in like that at the back. But like going to Cardiff, going to Manchester, Sunderland, all cramped up. But it's all part of the experience. You've got to do what you got to do to get to games, didn't you? But yeah, like as like a 11-year-old, I was only 11 years old at the time. But again, just things that you just don't forget. You think it's stupid, dangerous, but again, you got to do what you got to do.
I think those are the kind of stories that, especially when me doing these shows and when you talk to other supporters, they're the kind of things that you don't see. Everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own journey. You get to games your own way. Some people drive. Some people go by train or by coach. And those little quirky things that make, like, to everybody else, that's just your story. But to you, that adds to the memories. It adds to what you've done and where you've been and stuff like that.
Because I don't know. I don't know if any other fans have this, but I've got like a ritual what I do before games.
Go on, yeah.
Like I have to get a certain train to leave to go to Millwall. Like I've got like my daughter has to get a certain drink before. Like she's doing stuff now. Like even when she's playing football, she's putting like a left boot on first, then her right boot, and then her right shin pad. Then we usually get like the 12 o'clock train, and then if we don't win, I go. Superstition. That's got to be the reason why. Like, again, I think we've all got our own little quirks of what we believe. Like, some people wear their lucky pants or their lucky socks to every game. I've done it for the World Cup. Like, I'd have to wear the same England kit, thinking, right, this is I can't change it now. I've got to. But like, there's silly little things that I do that I believe that might give us some kind of omen or luck to win a match. But yeah, it'd be good to hear if any other fan that does anything like that.
I'll be honest with you, I do. Me and my dad, so we've been going. My dad took me when I was 3. I'm now 31, so I've been going quite a long time. And he has to be on the left, and I'm on the right. So that's how we are at the Den. But away from home, it's the same thing. So it's just he has to go. He has to be this side of me. It's just the rule, and it doesn't. It's if it worked, we'd have won the Champions League by now.
Oh yeah.
But it's if we ever are the other way around, it's like no, this has to change. So everybody out there's got those weird, wonderful
superstition stuff.
It used to be, I mean, some people put their sort of shin pads on first and their boots and stuff. So I'm sure there's many supporters out there, but that could be a topic for another show later down the line, actually. Yeah. What quirky thing do you do on a match day?
It's like, I remember like my first season, being a season ticket holder with Millwall, I always used to wear this certain hat.
Right.
And I think we went the whole of August not losing. And we was going halfway through September without losing. And then I changed my hat. And we lost.
So it was your fault.
It was my fault. And that's where it started. Thinking, I changed my lucky hat's finished. Like even my mate John was like taking the mick out of us, saying it's your fault because we lost. But yeah, it is strange what all sports does to supporters or players. But then again, it's all part of the adventure of going or playing.
It all adds. I think it all adds to your day as well. I think it's not just when you do your traveling, especially if you're going away from home. You travel, you're chatting in the car or on the train or whatever. All those little things add up to your experience. It isn't just the 90 minutes with football or whatever sport you play or get involved in. What's your best story following Millwall?
Well, I can't remember. I think it was the 17-18 season. I done the Crossbar challenge on the pitch. I think we was with Energy Bet at the time. And I got like they done like a little raffle kind of thing. Like, do you want to come on the pitch? And I got invited to do it. But yeah, going on the pitch, I can't remember who we were playing as it goes. But yeah, going on the pitch and just kicking a ball like gives me shivers, if you know what I mean. Like in front of 10, I think there was only about 10,000 there, but them experiences, and I did win. I did it at the bar. I think we were running a bit late, so they moved the ball closer to the penalty spot because no one could do it from outside the area. But yeah, I think memorable. Yeah, just doing something silly like that in front of 10,000 people is a special thing.
What's quite incredible, I did that a couple of years ago. I did it on the pitch. I did it against Bristol City, and believe it or not, you might have been there. I don't know. The Bristol City fan hit it for all 3 times. He hit all 3 crossbars in a row, which was, I've never seen anything quite like it. It was absolutely incredible. But I didn't, obviously for the benefit of listeners at home, I didn't know Ricky had done that crossbar challenge. He didn't know I'd done it either. So it's quite a remarkable coincidence that we've both done that. But it is pretty cool to do it when you're on the pitch at halftime and stuff, isn't it? It's a rush.
Yeah, we did it at the away end. I don't know if you done it
Yeah,
at the away.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we did.
so
Yeah.
you do get a bit. You can hear stuff in the stand as well. So people
Oh,
try
I
to
got
put you off.
caned. I got
Yeah,
absolutely caned. So yeah.
that's all part of the experience and the fun of it, isn't it? So yeah, it's a shame. I think the club should do more stuff like that for fans as well. At this present time, that'd be quite cool. Like I know they do the kids relay race. That was
Mhm.
quite eventful on Saturday.
It was, yeah, it
I
was.
think they
I
went round
think
twice.
there's limitations what they're actually able to do at home, because without going around the houses, because I asked about whether we'd be doing the crossbar challenge at the home end, and they wasn't actually able to. So I think there are limitations. I think with the kids, perhaps little maybe not that there would be a risk, but there's less risk with children doing the race and things like that, rather than have maybe sort of senior or adult fans on the pitch doing bits and pieces and whatnot. But I think you're right. I think the halftime. I mean, they used to have those stupid Zorbs, didn't they? That I
Yeah.
just didn't. I didn't really like that. The race is pretty good. It gets the crowd involved, but
Yeah.
there could perhaps be an opportunity in the future for the club to do something. Speaking of which, we're in current times. Obviously, you referenced the game at time of recording this podcast. Unfortunately, in the last game, the Lions were defeated by Norwich City at the Den. Talking about the current squad, who's your favourite player at the moment in the Millwall team?
I'm not going to go for the obvious in Fleming. I'm more of them kind of. I like people that get stuck in kind of players. Like my favourite players at the moment are Sean Hutchinson and Billy Mitchell. No nonsense. Like to me, standing out as a proper Millwall kind of player, that someone that doesn't care if they get hurt. Like I'm going to go in kind of thing. I know Fleming is unbelievable and probably will go on to bigger and better things in the future. But to me, just being a Mill kind of player is all I want as a fan. Someone that just gives 110%, whether we lose, win or draw. And then for me personally, typify of a Mill player.
I think especially with Mitchell, everyone, I think people often say every Millwall fan, if they were given the opportunity to wear the shirt, would give everything. You obviously have to have ability to go alongside it, which Billy Mitchell does. He's a very, very good player, but you can tell those sort of players that really sometimes do play like a little bit like a fan. And I think the fans can really appreciate that and get on board with that. I think at the moment, Billy Mitchell's definitely one that's up there with a lot of fans.
And I don't think Mitchell himself gets the recognition that he deserves. There's a lot of stuff that he does with and without the ball that people don't see. And he needs more credit than what people are giving him. There's quite a lot of people saying he only passes backwards or sideways. But if he's holding the ball up and keeping us in possession, he's doing everything right. He's doing his job. Doesn't matter if he's going... But he has got a good eye for a pass as well. If you see his balls going across the pitch and switching play, he's very, very good. And it wouldn't surprise me within the next couple of years if we do not get promoted or stop chatting, he might move on as well for a good amount of money.
I think on that as well, the pass he played at Preston that led to Fleming's hat-trick goal, inside the defender, McNamara obviously ran onto it and put it across. I think Billy Mitchell is someone that I will admit myself, I think he has massively impressed me this year. He has come on. I actually was there for his debut a few years ago away at Wigan, and he just looked like a headless chicken. He didn't know what he was doing. He was just running around trying to make a tackle, and he was young, and I think he would, by his own admission, would admit that. But he's really developed, and I think very much agree that he's one that will go on to bigger and better things. Maybe not to the level of Fleming, but he will do.
Yeah. He's look, you got to remember, I think he's still a young pup as well. So he's got so much more development to come at such a young age. Like he definitely will. Or if not, he will become Millwall captain one day, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I've not really thought about that actually, but that's a good shout.
He is a leader in the dressing room. Apparently, he is one of the leaders at a young age as well to take that on. Or full credit. Credit.
I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball now. I'm going to ask you a question that I hadn't pre-sent to you. So I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot.
Go on then.
What do you think the best goal you've seen a Millwall player score? And I'm going to add in, you cannot say...
No, I know what you're going to say.
You cannot say Gary Alexander at Wembley.
Ooh.
I'm assuming that would be your best.
Yeah, yeah, that would be up there.
Mhm.
I think, if I can remember correctly, it was more of a team goal, and it was in the, I think it was against Bournemouth in the Carabao Cup or the League Cup or whatever you want to call it. Now, I think it was, what year was it? I think it was the year we got promoted. It was like literally Gary Alexander Harris, they could like pass it in, and then Harris
Yeah,
like as a teamwork goal. Like I think if that
that
was
was a very good
a good
goal.
goal, yeah, and again, because it wasn't a big game, it doesn't get recognised. But yeah, that
Mm.
the one that stands out in my head right now is that one.
That was a very good
A
goal, and
good goal.
I think Harris got a hat trick that night.
Yeah, he did. He
I
scored. He
think
scored another worldie that he done
a
like
volley.
a volley outside the box.
Mm. Yeah, he did score some. That was they were, and as you say, because it was a bit of a nothing game, and the crowd was probably only a few thousand as well, so
Yeah,
not many people got to see it.
but yeah, that's the one that stands out. That was if that was like a Messi with Neymar kind of goal, then it would be spoke about. In my opinion, I might be a bit over the top, but it was a very worked goal. But just a shame it wasn't in the big game.
No, or in a league fixture where so
Yeah,
more people could appreciate it.
yeah.
Just away from Millwall, we do have to sort of reference some of the teams we don't like. So, if I ask you for your top three rivals, and obviously whoever you put at number one would obviously be your most disliked.
Right. Well, I think the obvious is going to be the Vermin. I'm not going to say their name. I don't need to say anymore. The club that thinks they're absolutely massive when really where they are now is where they're supposed to be. They are always been pronounced to be a yo-yo club in that Premier League, like a Norwich. Like they go up and down. They have the one or two good seasons that they have, and then they all get their hopes up. Like I'm pretty sure you might know a couple that I've spoken to. They'll go, "Oh, we're getting Champions League next year," and you think,
No,
no, you're not. No, you're not. This is what you do. You have one or two good seasons. You get your hopes up, and then you start signing players that you think are going to improve you, or I think they're big. And no, I can't even talk about them. Yeah, Vermin scum. Second, I'd go for Leeds. Going by what they were like the Liverpool of the Championship and League One. Every year it'd be like, it's our year, it's our year. And you think, oh, no, you're not as big, all because you get your 35,000 or your 40. Like when Newcastle's, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a massive club. You're there for a reason because you're shit. But another club that think they're bigger than what they are. They are a big club. I'm not going to knock them, but they're not as big as what they think they are. And then going by the Leeds thing, I've gone. This one was tough, but I've gone with Liverpool.
right?
Another deluded fan base that think every year's their year. And I see loads of it on Twitter. I don't know if you do yourself, but there's this one Irish guy that I don't know. I can't remember his name at the top of my head. That's like, yeah, we're going to win the league, and then they lose to like whoever Palace the next week, and they're going, they're useless. The league's finished. Like, you're doing it for clickbait, mate. Your fans, the fan. I think social media has made certain fans go a bit delusional and a bit off key and off to reality, but it's all for clickbait, in my opinion.
I think on that, I think it's actually a lot of clubs. There's a lot of not necessarily the majority of, but a lot of supporters that use social media for enhancing themselves.
Yeah,
look to put out a little bit of a topic that's a bit controversial.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't mind people doing it. Of course, I think if you're doing it in the right way and being professional at what you're doing, kind of thing, and creating like good content and not for your selfish self. But yeah, people like when you get certain people, we've got one at our club that we won't mention, that I think that's doing it for himself and not for fans like to get interested with. But each to their own. But you've got to get your content right at the end of the day. And some fans are just
no,
for the right reason.
I completely agree, and I think following football in this day and age is completely different. And I think the people that are using social media as supporters, it's a great tool. It is a
Oh, of
great tool,
course.
but sometimes, as you say, other fan bases, and Liverpool is one. I do agree that I think sometimes it's not some of the things that get posted is very, very controversial
And
and
cringy as well.
yeah, it is. Um, if you could change anything about the club, whether that be past, present, or perhaps even in the future, what would you, or if you would like to change a couple of things, what would you change?
Well, we're already making big changes, like with the training ground coming up. So the club is moving in the right direction. Um, right, within the ground, probably faster service. I'm pretty sure we can all agree that the
Yeah.
service in the ground is
Yep.
very, very slow. By the
Hmm.
time by the time you get your beer, it's pretty much flat.
Hmm.
And the whole, but I think there's a lease in there at the moment that is coming out. It's just about they're going to renew with someone or do something themselves. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs, but I know something's going to be changing. They're doing a lot of good stuff outside the ground, like the
Hmm.
pie mash, the German sausages. You've got the bands that come around now at Colburn Lane. So, like that is that we are moving in the right direction.
Yep.
Maybe if we do reach the promised lands of the Premier League, maybe if I don't know if we can get the corners in. I don't know how they would do it, but just to keep this bit more, keep the atmosphere in
Hmm.
more. But then again, is that going to change? Are we going to get certain fans come in that are just tourists and not fans? Which I'm not
Yeah.
against. I'm not against people from like Germany and that coming over because they're bringing in money to the club, and we've had a tough couple of years with COVID and that.
Yep.
The club needs it. We're getting the good tendencies now, so we're getting you 14,000 plus. Last two home games, if I can remember correctly, have been over 18,000 roughly.
Yep.
So everything is moving in the right direction. But if things might have to change that we don't like some like we might like the upgrade, like the new layout of the stadium that was allegedly like might happen. I know a lot of fans that are against it, but going forward, unfortunately, we've done it from the old den to the new den. A lot of old school Millwall fans hated it,
Hmm.
but you've got to move with the times. But as long as it's still got that, again, horrible feeling to it, and we're still close to the pitch as possible as fans, it might have to happen. Do I want it to happen? No, because I like the ground how it is, but I can understand if it does happen.
I think we were talking about it earlier about the sanitized look of football nowadays, and the kind of the Premier League tends to have a bit of a squeaky clean image. Yeah. I think providing it's done the right way, there are improvements at the ground that I agree, that could make it better or more profitable in terms of having more people coming to watch games and things like that. But I agree, it has to be done the right way. You can't lose what it means to be a Millwall. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. Favorite shirt? What's your favorite shirt?
Do you know what? I was going through a lot of shirts today, and my favorite was the memorable shirt in 2014. Do you know, for Remembrance Day? It had all like the army look on it. I think that is so cool and so unique and different. I think we were the first club to do something like that. And amazing. And obviously, it was for a great cause as well. I think a lot of that money didn't even go to me. I think it went to the charity of
Headley Court. Headley Court.
And these are silly little things that people don't recognise of what the club does do. And again, we don't get enough recognition for the small things. Well, that I wouldn't even say that's small. That's massive. But yeah, again, that shirt for me stands out from the rest because it's different.
Yeah, I think it was one of the best things that the club's ever done, in my opinion. It was absolutely fantastic and a great cause, as you say.
Hopefully, going forward, we can do more like that as a club as well.
Yeah, I think
because it is for the right reasons as well.
I think it's something that they could do something similar, but I don't think they'd maybe copy that again just because that was to keep that one unique. But they would do it maybe perhaps something for I don't know. You could have maybe something for Jimmy's Day, a Jimmy's Day kit, something like that to make a change. But definitely the club did. That was a very good shirt.
And obviously next season we don't know what the shirt's going to look like because it's 30 years at the
Yeah.
new den. But I don't call it the new den. It's the den to me. I can't stand it when Sky Sports News and BBC Sport call it the new den. It just doesn't stand right with me. It's just a den. Leave it as that. It's nothing new about it anymore.
No, I actually think that you make an interesting point about the 30 years at the Den. It wouldn't surprise me if they go back to the exact same kit they wore the first season, just with obviously the new sponsor. But that'd be an interesting thing to look at, actually, because they might do something a bit quirky with it. Are you a memorabilia person? Have you got much Millwall memorabilia? What's your best item?
What I have got is a signed Steve Morrison worn match shirt against Sheffield United back in 2018. My daughter was a mascot for that game, and she asked him. Well, she didn't ask. She forgot to ask him for the shirt, and then the wonders of social media, me talking to certain people. She got to go the next home game. She got to go on the pitch, have a photo with him, and yeah, that's probably the best memorabilia. What I think I got of Millwall.
If I'm right, Steve Morrison scored a penalty that day, and we won 2-1. I think the game that you're referring to.
No, we won 3-1 that game. It was a game where Cooper scored, and it was just over the line.
Okay, yeah. I remember. Yeah,
I think it was on the 3rd of December because it was her birthday present. But yeah, again, memorable day for me, because we got to do like a tour around the in and out of the changing room, around the stadium.
Yep.
Things that you just don't forget as an adult and as a child, because I was a child that day as well. Because
of course, yeah.
Seeing I do get starstruck. Like, oh, hello, Steve. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you do it because they're our idols, and this is what people do. Like, you might have people that do support the likes of Tottenham and think, oh, it's only science. So, like, to me, like, you're my idol. Like, I look up to you. Like, you're a massive part of my life. You make me happy. You make me angry. Like, yeah, they're my idols. And I don't know if they're yours, but yeah, like, yeah, I was a kid that day, and I wouldn't change it.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed it more than she did.
I think as well with the tour and stuff like that, when you do those kind of things, it's fantastic you do feel like a child. You go into the change room and you just think, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing.
Real. And seeing your idols like walking around, like you're saying hello and shaking people's hands, like, and that's what makes our club so different, because I believe our players give out their time, no matter who you are, but then you could be like a Mo Salah or a Harry Kane that probably wouldn't do it, if you know what I mean. Like, we've stood outside the ground at 12 o'clock in the like just before they come in and get photos and shaking hands and talking to players. I couldn't see that really happening to a big Premier League side, and that's what does make us special and different, in my opinion.
I think the players are very, very, very sort of conscious of the fact that the supporters are diehards. A lot of them are diehards. They go, especially the ones that are there every week, and I think the players do go out of their way to make that. You know, it could be you making your daughter's day, it could be making your day, it could be making it. You know, it doesn't matter the age of a supporter. No. They've done plenty for me. I've had plenty of things behind the scenes go on, and players have done wonderful things. And I think you're right. It makes us who we are. I'm going to throw you one more curveball question. I know you wanted to sort of say something yourself on this, but I'm going to give you one more curveball question. As it stands, the Lions sit 7th in the Championship with 11 games to go. Obviously, following the defeat against Norwich on Saturday, dropped out of the top 6. Are we making the top 6 this season?
Well, I've been thinking about this, and we need round about 73, 74 points to get in, I think. And with our running, we have got some tough games. I know a couple of people saying we've got the better running, but we're still West Brom away. I know they might have slipped up the other week, but they're going to still be in and around it. We've got Luton at home. They are in it. We've got Blackburn at home. I could go on, but if we can nick it, my heart says we will. But knowing how we all know what the Millwall way is, it's something always happens. Either we're going to get a major, we've already got a little bit of an injury crisis at the moment. We're either going to have major players get injured, like Fleming or Bradshaw at the moment are flying. One of them are going to get injured, or we're going to get a massive suspension. I'm going to go bold. I'm going to say we're going to hit and we're going to finish 5th.
I think you're doing what a lot of Millwall supporters, including myself, do, and saying it through gritted teeth because you want it to happen so much, but in your mind you're thinking, oh, but this happens and this happens. So no,
we've all seen it, haven't we?
We've all been there before.
Yeah,
we've all been there before. I'll agree with you. I've been saying it on the last few shows. I think we might just sneak in. I think it's going to go down to the last day, but we'll see. It's been a great season, and as I say, hopefully they can give us 11 more games to try and get us over the line.
Yeah, because we've always been pronounced to finish really, really strong, but we've always just missed out. Now we're pretty much in and around it by 1 or 2 points. Yeah, like I know you might laugh at this, but I had a weird dream a couple of weeks ago that the Blackburn game, we was going to nick 2nd. It was.
You sound like Mickey. You sound like Mickey.
I know, but I know that's been too optimistic. But who knows? Like if we can actually go, what was it? A couple of seasons ago, we went 18 games unbeaten. I know there's only 11 games left, but if we can go on that another massive run, we've not dared to think that we could, but go 11 games unbeaten from now, and Sheffield United slipping up. Don't look a bit edgy. Like there's no pressure on Millwall. Let's put that right. We're not supposed to be there by the financial side of things. We should be nowhere near the playoffs. But the pressure on Sheffield United, the pressure on Middlesbrough, West Brom, maybe not Luton because they're kind of in the same situation as us, punching well above their weight.
Yeah,
but there's clubs there that have got players on 30, maybe 40 grand a week, whereas I think our top earner might only be on 16, 17, and that's, a major difference. So like again, just enjoy the ride as fans. Let's just enjoy it, and if we get there, then it's anyone's game.
Absolutely.
Anyone's game. And I think us at home in a playoff game is going to be, whoever we get is going to be ferocious. I'm telling you that now. I think it's just going to be an ugly, they're not going to like it was against Hull. No, not Hull, Huddersfield, sorry.
Huddersfield. Yeah,
Huddersfield. When we get that kind of atmosphere, if we can start getting that kind of atmosphere at the Den from now to the end of the season,
good luck, opposition.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and we'll the players will thrive off it, and it give them that extra edge. It will, because they've all come out and said like that gives them that extra 2 yards of pace, or that would go that extra mile for just here. I think Cresswell said it the other day. Just hearing a moo, just keeps him going. Gets him like, I'm going to go in harder in that. I'm going to make but starting to believe in themselves that little bit more. So if people can come, just come. Just get behind the boys, and what will be, and let's do it together, because we are in it together, aren't we? We're here together. We lose, we win, but if they don't win, just don't strop off after. There was a couple of fans that left early against Norwich. Stay, because these players are punching well above their weight, and they deserve everything, all the credit in the world to all of them.
No, I quite agree. Before obviously we finish up and do the outro, I know obviously we spoke. You wanted to sort of say a couple of things. I say this is your show, so the floor is yours.
Right. For me, this is a very touchy subject. For me, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, and obviously this going out onto social media and that, it's a very big thing, because I have suffered with mental health. I just wanted to make an awareness of. Don't be scared. It could be a bit worrying of coming into a show like this. Just be yourself and be confident. Like for me, doing this and going to Millwall is a massive thing for my mental health. Right, I can be happy in 10 minutes and then be sad. All my emotions go in one game. The Leeds United game when we won 4-3 at their place. That's the perfect game where you're high, you're low, you don't know where, and then getting a last minute goal. Football or any sport, if you follow any sport, is massively for your mental health. And I just keep going. Like I was saying, if you're worried of having problems of going to Millwall or watching any kind of football of England, just go, because it is good. For me personally, it is good. I release so much positive, negative energy. It does make me feel better. I know some people might sounding stupid, but I do feel better watching football. I love football. I watch every game I can, whether it's Millwall or any Premier League game. I do it every week, and it does make me feel good.
I mean, just to echo on that, I think from all of us at the pod, from the collective Millwall family, you know, we'll stand by anyone, but we certainly stand by our own. And if there is anybody out there that is struggling or does have, you know, those kind of worries or issues or anything like that, feel free to reach out to the pod, to us as individuals. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that would echo that football is for everyone.
Of course it is. And again, like, just if anyone wants to chat, like, my Twitter's Dobson 89 at Dobson 89. So if you just want to message, I'll talk to people. Like, we're all here together. Like, we are one community. So if you just want to rant about work or like whatever, you know what I mean? Like, let's start. Especially men have to. Like, for me, this is a massive step. Me just doing this, you know what I mean? So it's a move in the right direction for me. Like, I've had the confidence, and hopefully now I've spoken to you. Like, the next podcast that you do online, that I'll come on because I've done this. So, you know what I mean? Absolutely. So it's a confidence booster. So just do it. Just be bold and brave.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. We'll leave on that point, but just to touch on that, I did the same thing. I got involved in a podcast earlier on this season. Never done it before, and I've not looked back since. And if you're like Ricky, who perhaps you've listened to the show and wanted to get involved but didn't know quite how to, or didn't know how it would go, drop us a message. Even talk to Ricky himself. Obviously, he can talk about his experience on his show. This is his show. This was his Millwall story. Ricky, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to do this, and thank you for sharing your stories. Any final words from you?
No, just get down the den, try and get as many as we can for every away game, and just follow the boys all the way. And what will be will be. Come on, you Lions!
There we go. Let's end on that. Come on, you Lions! This has been that Millwall podcast. Who are you? As I say, if you want to be like Ricky and come on the show, you don't have to be interviewed by me. We've got a whole list of panelists that can do these. So if you'd rather talk to one of the other guys, I won't be offended. You can talk to any of us. This podcast, we'll be doing a series of these, so they'll be going out hopefully over the next couple of weeks, where we've been obviously saving up a few, and we've got a lot of supporters coming on. Again, if you'd like to get involved, drop us a message. Follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter. Get involved. We don't bite. We're more than happy to have a conversation and get you guys on the show. As I say, that's been that Millwall podcast, and we'll catch you on the next episode.